Hello, this is Wendy Anderson. Welcome to the Investment Here and There talk show, where we talk about investment opportunities here in your current city and there, back in your hometown or worldwide. As I recently moved from New York to Munich, I started an investment club for expats. And surprisingly, one topic has been brought up over and over again is real estate. Because surprisingly, Germany can be a very interesting place to invest in properties. First of all, there's little legal restrictions on foreigners owning a property here. And the interest rate has remained very low at 1 to 2%. For some countries, this will be a dream. Meanwhile, the deposit rate in the bank is almost close to zero. This almost reminds me of the old Chinese or Taiwanese grandma stashing away cash underneath the pillow and earning zero interest rate. Therefore, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so now let's talk about the real estate investment 101. Today, I'd like to share with you my golden list. It's a little orange. My red card and a little calculator. Let's get started. So in terms of the golden list, this is a list of the things that are key search criteria for you. And I always heard those three things: location, location, and location. It is very important that there's a good infrastructure for commute and also has a good business and school district. But as I'm from an Asian family, we also care about the location in the sense of direction. So whether it's facing south, where you get sunlight in the afternoon, or if you're a morning person, that the facing east will be better for you. But aside from that, I also have some of my personal favorite. The next one is actually whether the place is sold by a real estate broker or the homeowner. What's the difference? Well, in Germany, the normal commission for real estate broker is around 3 to 4%, meaning that if you have found a place that is sold by the owner, you save this amount of money in your closing cost. However, the downside will be that you probably don't get as fast of a response as you can from a professional. That's my preference. So another thing that's my favorite to look for is the condition of the property. I personally love it when it's an old place that needs complete gut renovation. Everything is out. But some people like to have convenience of moving ready or even want to purchase that pre-construction to get a better price. But do be aware that if you're looking for a place to renovate, when the place is more than 100 years old, in Germany, there are special restrictions and guidance for how to renovate the historical place. These are the three things that I look for. Leave me a comment and let me know what's on your golden list. Alright, so now it's time to take a look at the red card, my deal breaker list. Thanks to the contribution also to the club members. Number 1 on the list is if the place is currently being rented. Germany is a very pro-tenant country, meaning that as a landlord, you cannot easily kick out your tenant. And the lease year is not just for 1 year, not even for 2 years, but it's without an end date. Meaning that if you purchase a place that's being rented, you inherit the rental contract, and it's up to you, the new owner, to kick out this tenant. It's a lot of work, therefore I skip. The next is the AirPod, the long-term lease. Sometimes during the search, you might find a lovely surprise that all of a sudden there will be such a cheap place. Be careful. If it's an AirPod, you might be able to enjoy the cheap monthly payment during the time you stay there or rent it out and generate cash flow. But at the end of the lease, you just get part of the money back or sometimes zero. I like cash flow, but I also like capital gain. So for me, it's also a no-no. Number 3 on my no-no list is bidding. And this is not your regular courthouse auction, but instead, it's those properties that attract you with a very low price, and you go there and realize that all the potential buyers have to bid on top of each other. Typically, the price will end up to be either at the market price or above. For me, it's too much stress, too much money in there, and also too much of a time duration to bid on top of each other. So those are the 3. Please leave a comment and let me know what's your no-no list. Now it's time to take out your calculator and talk about the financing part. In addition to the purchase price, don't forget about closing cost. In Germany, the closing cost is usually around 10%, including the real estate broker commission, 3 to 4%, the notary, and the property tax. But speaking of that real estate broker fee, usually it's paid by the buyer. However, there are some cases that is split between the buyer and the seller, and some very rare cases where it's completely paid by the seller. So ask about it. If you don't ask, you don't get. In terms of the down payment, for EU permanent residents, some banks are willing to lend up to 100% of the entire property price. However, for the foreigners or non-EU permanent residents, it's a little bit less. The banks usually is willing to lend up to 80 or maybe 90% of the property price, meaning that you have to come up with the down payment of at least 10 to 20%. But then, where do you actually find the banks? A lot of people will go for the big banks where they heard of the name, they have business with them. But don't forget that there are some smaller banks that are willing to lend you at a more favorable terms. And if you're a foreigner, don't forget about some international banks where they will lend you money based on your credit history in the other country that you lived previously. So shop around. Don't just purchase the first pair of shoes that's being offered to you. Try it on, have some discussion, and then make your decision. If you want to hear more about the financing options and different opportunities, please leave a comment and we'll cover that in the following episode. Thank you so much for listening for this video, and I hope you learned a thing or two that you can take away from. Remember to have your golden list, to have your red card, and also your calculator. If you like the material today and want to hear more, please click on like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time.